about the text. Now we're getting into your topic for today. It's a long introduction. When we talk about text, keep in mind, nobody had any experience translating the Missal in Latin into English or into the other languages. It hadn't been done, it wasn't necessary, because everybody was celebrating in Latin. So the bishops got together, and in particular, Dale mentioned the English-speaking bishops got together and say, how do we do this? None of us have done this before. We don't even know who to ask. And none of us have the resources in our own country to do this task. So the English-speaking bishops got together and formed what is called ISEP, the International Committee on English in the Liturgy. Just so that you know this in case you ever play Trivial Pursuit. These are the countries, bishops representing these countries, got together to make up ISEP, which is the International Committee on English in the Liturgy. There were the bishops from Australia, Canada, England and Wales, Ireland, New Zealand, Pakistan, Philippines, Scotland, South Africa, United States of America, and India. So those 11 bishops' conferences got together and said, let's do this work together, because none of us can do it on our own. So they began the work. They got the scholars, the poets, the Latinists, English scholars, musicians, scripture scholars, liturgical scholars. They got them all together and said, okay, let's work on this together. So they took a stab at it. They started the work on translation. No guidance. When they were just about finished, in 1969, the Holy See issued an instruction. This is how you translate. Little Johnny come lately, I think. But the instruction was called Comme le Prévoir. A very short instruction. And simply to summarize it for you this morning, they said, use the principle of dynamic equivalence. It's a principle that had been used in the translation of the scriptures, a principle that was developed by a man called Eugene Nagel. And very simply, what it is this. This is the text in Latin. How do you say that in your language? How do you convey the same meaning in your language? Take a unit, expression, a phrase, and how do you express that in your language? Not word for word, but what's the gist of it in your language? Anybody here who speaks more than one language knows that not every sentence in one language can be translated word for word in a second language and still make sense.